Welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. This is Pastor Isaac Opoku-Asare. I'm also Dr. Isaac Opoku-Asare. I am an interventional cardiologist and also a vascular specialist. I'm board satisfied in both interventional cardiology and vascular medicine. And I want to thank you all for joining us again. We're starting this year very strong, and this is the second of the series that we are doing, which is starting right. If you've not watched the first part, I will encourage you to go and watch it. And because we start right, because first of all, you're a spiritual being. And you start right by having the right mindset that this is a different year, and this is a year that God is going to turn things around favorably for you. So I believe, and it's supported by the Bible in here, that you and I, we are spirit beings, but we live in a body, right? And if you don't have a body, you can only work like an angel. And since you and me are not angels, you better get a body to work with, right? So the body is very important for you and I to take very good care of it. So for this session, we want to talk about some of the things that you do with your body, right? And I just want to share my own life with you so that you and I can understand certain fundamental principles about living well. Living well. One of the major ways of living well is practicing fasting. Fasting, especially for the young people, is a no-no. But let me tell you, in almost every religion, any major religion on this earth, they fast. It's simple. Because fasting, at least intermittently, has benefits spiritually, physically, and I even believe that based on the extrapolation of the physical benefits, you can almost have emotional satisfaction from fasting. So, fasting is not just abstention from food, but it should be combined with setting the mind also right. And that is why every year, at the beginning of every year, I do spiritual detoxing and physical detoxing of my body. And how do I do it? I do it through prayer and fasting. I fast for 21 days in the year. And Michael, I hope you put the flyer there for anybody to join us. You can join us. It's a group of, we have doctors, we have state prosecutors, we have nurses, we have pharmacists, we have anybody that you can think of. And we all come together to pray and to fast. And why is that important that you and I, we fast? Is because somebody said the most important meal of the day is the meal you choose not to eat so that your health will be better. So we're calling it the most important meal because our ancestors were never made, or they never lived the way we are living now. They never had 3 square meals. And up till today, I don't know how you can have something that is in 3 parts and it's still a square. Telling you right from the beginning that is a misfit. They never ate 3 square meals and had snacks. It never happened. Most of them led lives where they almost practice intermittent fasting. I'm not talking about just intermittent fasting, but fasting as a whole. That is a powerful tool that if you do it and do it well, is going to help you. I've said if I've done a lot of programs about fasting, but today I want to talk about the fact that practicing fasting and prayer, irrespective of a religious background, will go a very long way. But if you are a Christian, it is an imperative part that opens doors for you. Let me start with the scripture here, and I'll go to the other parts. When you go to Esther chapter 4, you realize that Esther was facing a lot of problems. And Esther sent a word to Mordecai. Listen to this. He said, Esther sent back answer to Mordecai. Go and get all the Jews living in Susa together. Fast for me. Don't eat and drink for 3 days, either day or night. I'm going to use this to explain fasting. I and my mates will fast with you. If you do this, I will go to the king, even though it's forbidden. If I die, I die. You realize first things first. And the first things, starting right, is to commit yourself through prayer and fasting to the Lord. So that is a spiritual benefit. And when Esther did that, you see, when Esther went to the king, instead of the king, Esther telling the king what she needs, it was rather the king that asked Esther what Esther needs. Let me give you this. When you go to Esther chapter 7, when Esther went to the king's presence, instead of Esther talking to the king, it was the king that spoke to Esther. Let me go here. It said 3 days after that, I gave you chapter 3. Esther, dressed in the royal robes, took a position in the inner court of the palace in front of the king's throne. The king was on his throne facing the entrance. When he noticed Esther standing in the court, he was pleased to see her. The king extended the golden scepter to her. Esther approached and touched the tip of the scepter. The king asked, "What your desire, Queen Esther?" Why am I saying this? Trust the Lord through prayer and fasting this year. And instead of you making requests and pushing things, things will come to you. So there's a spiritual benefit to fasting. And I've given you these scriptures. Fasting opens doors that human abilities cannot. So don't make it part of your tool. I want to share my life with you for you to know that we fast and pray 21 days at the beginning of the year, putting our trust in God. And we also fast every month. You know why? Because I got to realize that there's a group of people in Ethiopia. They fast more than half of the year. And I watched a program. The man fasted, and the more he fasted, the more he was walking. I said, Michael fast for 5 hours and now he cannot even sit up. And look at me. After 12 hours, I'm looking at my watch as when is 5 o'clock going to come? Today I want to share with you what I've learned over the years. I've practiced intermittent fasting for more than 15 years now. And I believe that I can share with you some of the very important things that you need to do. So this year, make intermittent fasting part of your life. We're talking about starting right. So why is this important that for you and I to start right? Okay. It is important to start right because when you fast, I'm going to list a number of things here. And I'm quoting this from published literature. Fasting can make your blood pressure better. Fasting can make your heart rate better. So whenever we talk about fasting, a lot of people think it's all about weight loss. No. I am a cardiologist, okay? And I am quoting some of these things right from the paper that was published in New England Journal. I think, let me see whether I have this. just to show you some of the things here that you and I will need to know, that it is not only just by fasting that makes you lose weight. And we understand the loss of weight, but it goes beyond. It goes way beyond just losing weight. It can give you the ability. So let me find out here some of the literature here to show you, because I always want to point out some of these things to you, because we have literature about them and they can help you. So I want to put this statement here. And this statement is backed by trials that have been done, right? It said many studies have indicated that several of the benefits of intermittent fasting are disassociated, not associated, with the effects of weight loss. So, when you and I, we talk about fasting, we're starting right, and we're saying that make fasting, intermittent fasting, part of your life, because from the cardiovascular perspective, it can improve your blood glucose. It can improve your blood pressure. It can improve your heart rate. It's all here. Look at them. Your glucose, your blood pressure, your heart rate, and your endurance exercise. That is the part, because my next episode is called First Fit. Michael says fit first. So, okay, if it comes at first, Michael put it there. So, fit first. A lot of people want to exercise, but they don't have the endurance. Fasting is a powerful way of doing it. We all practice, and then the big one, that is where my problem is right now. Abdominal fat loss. Let me tell you this. If you are a man and you put a tape around your waist and it's more than 40, please join the six-pack program I'm working on. It was my biggest challenge in 2026, 2025, and in this year of Purim, I'm trusting the Lord that I will conquer that one. Because sometimes a BMI can be wrong. Because the person is not too old. It's not tall. But abdominal mass is hardly wrong. There is few people that you see with a pot belly that data is not right. That the big belly is causing problems. So I'm a cardiologist. I'm talking to you now, not because I want you to lose weight. Weight loss is good. But now there are a lot of medicines out there that can make you lose weight. But is it a healthy way? That's the question. You know, I have a patient that came to me. He's taking some of these medicines, and I'm not condemning them. The patient has lost 80 pounds. But the patient, the calf is gone. Because the medicine that the patient is taking, it causes loss of body fat and muscle mass at the same time. But I can tell you, the difference between fasting and taking those medications is the fact that it will help you lose what? Body fat first, before it touches your muscle mass. So these evidence is the reason why you and I want to inculcate fasting into our lives. And especially when you back it with prayer. You see, he talks about, here they all talked about so many things. But the bottom line about this statement is the fact that my ancestors, the one that I was named after, he lived to be 104. He lived to be 104. He never saw a doctor. And he never took medicine. So how did that happen? Let me tell you his life. These people get up in the morning and they go to the farm. They hardly eat anything. So I understand that people say breakfast is good. And I've done a lot of series to tell you that breakfast is good. But there is even a better way. They go there, they work, they eat from the farm a little bit. They come home. Most of these people, I can tell you that they even ate only once. And that was in the evening. And they did not need any medicine. I say that most of the time the diseases is because we change the natural life cycle. And this year you want to be in the natural cycle. Most of them ate once. And they went to the farm. But we eat 3 times with snacks in between. Boy. And most of what we eat now, they will not even consider it as food. Because it's so processed that by the time you finish processing it, it gets into your mouth, it's a different thing. So, you want to practice that. And why is that important? I'm going to tell you why. A lot of people say, I am fasting. As a guy told me that, look, before I started this, it looks like smoking was making me lose more weight than this fasting business. And I said, are you really fasting? So almost everybody that is listening to me, we all do intermittent fasting one way or the other. Why? Because you remember the scripture that I read to you. It said, fast day and night. Almost everybody, few people ever fast day and night. My mother used to fast day and night, but she fasted day and night for 3 days. That's what they call dry fasting. I will strongly encourage you not to do it beyond 3 days because you may have to call 911 if you are not spiritually powerful enough to go through that. Okay, so don't go beyond that. But we all do that intermittent fasting because we break at a point in time. So let me show you why. Why is it that when you and we fast, we do ourselves a lot of benefit? This is an article from New England Journal, and I want to show you, right? You realize that a lot of people, they say, oh, I don't eat fat, so how do I end up getting fat? You realize that there are 2 sources of fat in the body. If Michael, you can put it on, you will see that there is an exogenous phase. That is the fat that you eat, right? And then, even if you don't eat, your body still makes fat. So whether you eating or not, your body is making, whether you eat fat or not, your body can still make fat. How does your body do it? And this is where fasting is a powerful tool. And I'm going to use this to explain to you why practicing fasting, in addition to whatever you are doing, is uber healthy. So, look at this diagram. Before we go to this diagram, let me go to another diagram here. That may be helpful. Michael, you sent me a diagram. Let me see whether I downloaded it. I had another diagram. Okay, no. Let me see. I have another diagram here. Let me go here. So, let's look at, maybe let me go to the other one because the other one is better. Okay. So let me make this one big. The rationale for fasting is because it's not a question of low salt diet or fat free. Okay, it can be fat free, but if you are fasting, you block both avenues. If you look at this diagram very well, everybody that is listening to me, even if you don't eat fat and you eat bread, once glucose gets into your body, Michael, I want you to show this to everybody. Your body starts making fat through what? Glucose. It's glucose on our screen for everybody to see it. So immediately you touch glucose, the body can use the glucose to make what? You see, it goes through various stages. So I'm going to go through this. Glucose, from glucose, pyruvate, and then the cholesterol medicine that doctors give to you, that I also give. The reason why it works is that it blocks its path on the way to making what? Cholesterol. So when you eat too much sugar, you don't end up only getting what? Diabetes. But you get diabetes and what? And cholesterol. So I tell people, when you eat fat, it doesn't give you what? Both diabetes. But when you eat too much sugar, it gets you cholesterol in addition to diabetes. And that is why the first things that you need to control is your sugars. Control your sugar. Then you can control your fat. But this is the power of fasting. Let me show you. When you fast, you take away the glucose. When you fast, you take away the fat that is coming in. So, what does it mean, Michael? What does it mean? When you fast, essentially, the intrinsic pathway and the extrinsic pathway, they are all what? Being blocked. What then happens to your body? That's what we're talking about here. And this is what I want to lay emphasis on. Whenever you and I will eat, and somebody was telling me, why is it that I fast and I'm not losing weight? And I say, okay, do you remember the honey you put it in your tea and you're telling yourself that you are fasting? This is what happens. Now listen to me. I'm going to teach you very effective way of doing this. And a lot of people tell me they take medicines and other things. You can still take medicines and do this well. Right? If you see the diagram that is here, it's going to be very helpful to you. The thing that is sitting in the center is that is a thing right behind my belly that you see is my stomach. You get in the glucose, right? The glucose goes into your the glucose goes into the stomach. The stomach, if I have a pointer, I can show you if you're looking at the screen, you see the intestine. Above the intestine, let me make it big. This is the stomach right there. When you and I will eat and the food goes here, it takes roughly 4 hours for the food to be emptied from your stomach. Listen to me. But the fact that the food has been emptied from your stomach doesn't mean that the food that you've eaten is still not in your body. So sometimes what we mistaken as fasting is when your stomach is empty. But the fact that your stomach is empty, it does not mean, I'm intentionally repeating this. It doesn't mean that the food is what? The food is not in your body. Actually, if you look at the stomach is the big one. The food comes into the stomach. And from there, the food goes, it gets the glucose. And the glucose goes to the brain. It goes to the heart. It goes to the muscle. It goes to the liver. It goes everywhere. So the first part, 4 hours, is emptying the stomach. The next 4 hours, they are in where they are supposed to be. So it's like they leave the storehouse and they are delivered to your house. And your house, it can be Michael's apartment or his house and mine. Whatever it is, the fact that it left the storehouse, it doesn't mean that it has been used. So remember this, the first 4 hours is you're emptying the belly. But the fact that the stomach is empty, it doesn't mean that the calorie is not in your system. And I'm going to give you the reason why I'm saying that. It is believed that we know, and there's evidence to support it. After the first 4 hours, the second 4 hours is when the body actually uses it. So think about it in two ways. First half, it empties the stomach, the food leaves your stomach, and that's why you may start feeling hungry. For those of people who eat 3 times a day, this is the reason why. So remember from today, the fact that your stomach is empty, it doesn't mean you need more food. Remember that the food have now gone to your brain, to your hand, to your legs, to all those parts. And they also need 4 hours to use it. Generally, after 4 hours, when they get there, think about it, most of the time they have used it. Why am I telling you this? Because in everybody, 8 hours after you're eating, the body has exhausted its glucose that it just had from your meal. And then your body begins to form ketones. How does your body form ketones? This is why we have this very nice thing. It's called adipocytes. These are the free fatty acids. Then your body begins to break these ones down. So we call it metabolic switch. It now moves away from the glucose. That leads to cholesterol. That leads to diabetes. That leads to all the problems. And now the body converts these free fatty acids into powerful agents in your body. These ketones now, remember, the glucose went to your head, to your legs, to every part. The good news is this. These ketones, new ones, they go to these places and they start repairing work. Let me tell you the other thing that it also does. When you and I we eat, human beings as we are, we create junk. There are a lot of things that are in your body that they are not good. These products that comes from your fat being broken down, they go in and they start doing a lot of good work. Let me explain some of the good work to you. We call autophagy. Now, the inner cell, the inner part of your cell, it gets regeneration. Right? And then this part is where they go up, all the damaged cells and all the damaged radicals in your body. These products of the fatty acids, they go and pick them up. Remember, you need 8 hours for that to happen. 8 hours. Michael, I know you try to cut it to 6 hours. It's not working. Okay? You need 8 hours. For now, the products of the fatty acid to start picking up the bad stuff in your body. And that is why I watch a show. The guy fasted for 4 days without food. His first 2 days, I thought the guy was going to die before the show finishes. But this living long expert in Australia was telling him, you need your ketones to be up. You need your ketones to be up. So the ketone level is it needs to be 0.2 to 0.5, something like that. And he was telling him that the more the ketone levels rises through the fasting, the more he's going to be energized. I mean, I've been a doctor for a long time, and this is something that is available on, I think it's available on Disney. It was done by Thor, the guy who does Thor in the Marvel movie. And he was the guy that did, I think, 4 days of no eating. Interestingly, they were measuring his ketone levels. And then his ketones, he said his ketones needs to rise. Once his ketone rises, he was going to have a surge of energy. The guy, on his last day of not eating, he had to go fishing. Boy, how can he go fishing like that? But he told him he's going to see whether his ketones are up. Because I'm showing you this because it is, for most of us, we cannot believe that fasting can improve your performance. It's almost oxymoron. But I can challenge everybody that is watching me that you can go and watch, what is his name? Chris Hemsworth, right? On his 4th day, I think on his 4th day, he had to go and dive. And he did deep diving to catch a fish. And the guy said on the last day, if he allows his ketones, if the ketones rises, he's going to get a surge of energy that is going to help him to catch the fish. That is exactly what happened. If you want to have good, improved performance, endurance this year, I can tell you to practice intermittent fasting. Actually, if you can practice, and when I'm saying that, I'm talking about doing it, spacing your meal minimum of 8 hours. But better off spacing it 12 hours. You and your doctor needs to meet and have a discussion how you're going to take your medicines. I'm not here to discuss it. But let your doctor know that. And then Michael is always about the brain. Let me tell you this. The byproduct of this, once they break down your fatty acids, they are powerful fuel for the brain. So that it is known that people who fast, they become mentally sharp. I know somebody will not agree with me because when they fast, they lose it. But it's when you fast, you fast for the initial stages. If you keep on fasting, the more you go deep into fasting, the sharper you become. It cleans out the brain. And that is why they are talking about neurogenesis over here. So why is it that the guy said, I've been fasting, but it's not working? Let me give you the reason. I said the first 4 hours is gastric emptying. But the fact that the glucose has left the storehouse, it doesn't mean that it has been used. It goes to the body. So it leaves the stomach and it goes to this parts of the body. And when it leaves those parts and it leaves the stomach and goes to your head, your brain, the next 4 hours, they are going to use them. And so from your 4th to your 8th hour, your body is using them. Your stomach is screaming, but go easy because you still have stores to go over there. But you are not in the benefit stage, quote unquote. I just want you to know. Because all the literature shows that humans form ketones from 8 to 12 hours. I'm not saying it. That is what the literature says. And I can give you, I want to point it out here because Michael always wants the data. But the data clearly shows that If you and I, you want to form the ketones are not formed just by shortening the time. So as we know, it say in a first state, the level of ketones are low. Michael, you hear me? And in humans, they rise within what? 8 to 12 what? Hours after the onset of what? Fasting. The reason is the first 4 hours you clean up, they take them to the place, and then the second 4 hours they use them, and then your ketones begin to rise. And that is why the guy, they were measuring his ketones, right? Your ketones rise by 0.2 to 0.5 in 8 to 12 hours after the onset, and they maintain it for 24 hours. And they increase. That is why I'm looking forward to practicing 3 days to get my energy back. Because, listen to this, with a subsequent increase to 1 to 2, that means you can increase your ketone level almost 5 times, 4 to 5 times, if you're able to go into fasting in the 48 hours. No wonder in the program, the guy went for what? Fishing, deep dive fishing on the 4th day. I'm not saying it. I said I challenge you to go and watch it, so that you will understand that when you fast, you improve you make your brain better. It causes neurogenesis. It increases your endurance. It improves your stress. It makes the body repair your damaged cells. And let me tell you this. Fasting has been tied to longevity. I would like to end today by saying this. God has blessed us all. As I'm talking to you now, I'm looking at the time because I'm looking at 5 o'clock. Because 5 o'clock may be the time that I can potentially have a happy time. That's when we break our fast. But I'm looking forward to the day that I and Michael, both of us, can do one that is 3 days. So that my ketone level can rise up to somewhere like 2. To get that surge of energy that somebody could use for deep water diving fishing. Today, a patient of mine told me, he's 87 years old. He's 89 now, actually. I was talking about making sure he takes care of his life and other things. Look at me trying to tell an 89-year-old. He turned around and said, Isaac, I'm not worried so much about dying. I'm focused on living. I'm focused on growing good. He said, I'm not interested in just growing. Let me quote his words well. I want to grow good. And that is why the theme for our second episode about living right this year is growing good. The best way to grow good is to take the most important meal, which are the ones you make a decision not to. Because it's much easier to eat than to fast. But practicing intermittent fasting will help with your blood pressure, your heart rate, your stress level, your endurance capacity, and more importantly, prolong life. God bless you.